Welcome to tonight's sleep story. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and let go of the day. Allow yourself to relax and settle into a peaceful state as my voice gently guides you through a world of calm and tranquility. With each word, feel the tension slip away, leaving only relaxation and comfort. Let's drift into a soothing story together as you begin your journey into a restful and rejuvenating sleep.
Imagine a quiet room, bathed in the soft glow of candlelight. The air is thick with anticipation, a sense of something monumental about to unfold. You sit in the corner of a small, humble workshop. The year is 1876. Alexander Graham Bell stands before you, holding a strange device in his hands. It looks nothing like the phones you know today, but it hums with possibility. There's a palpable tension in the air as Bell prepares for a moment that will change the world. The click of the wires being connected, the sound of his voice ringing out across the wires for the first time, and then the world shifts. "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." The first words ever transmitted through the telephone reverberate through time. You can feel the weight of that moment. It's not just the beginning of a new invention. It's the beginning of a new way of connecting, of communicating. You imagine the excitement in Bell's voice, the nervous thrill as he hears the response. On the other end, the world as he knew it had just expanded, and so had yours. The boundaries of distance, of isolation, were about to be forever altered. Bell, a man driven by his passion for connecting people, had struggled with his own hearing, lost since childhood. That personal challenge sparked his fascination with sound and speech. His relentless determination to overcome this limitation turned into a tireless pursuit of invention. Bell's mind, sharp and inquisitive, knew that communication could be more than what it was, more than written words, more than spoken voices, limited by distance. His goal was to break those boundaries, to bring voices from across miles, to allow people to be heard, to connect, to share. And in this moment, his dream was realized. You can almost feel Bell's excitement as he watches the device in front of him, the telephone, come to life. The world had been divided by space, by time, by distance. But now there was something new, something that could tear down these barriers. The telephone was not just a mechanical marvel. It was a revolution, a spark of hope, a leap into a future where people could hear each other from far away. A world where the isolation of space and the limitations of time no longer felt so heavy. The first experiment was a success, but it was just the beginning. You imagine Bell looking at his invention with a mixture of awe and determination. The journey ahead would be filled with obstacles, both technological and personal. There were doubts, there were setbacks, but the seed had been planted. Bell's heart raced with the knowledge that he had achieved something extraordinary, something that could change the very fabric of human existence. The idea of being able to speak to someone hundreds of miles away, to hear their voice across vast distances, seemed impossible at the time, but now it was a reality. The invention of the telephone was not a sudden stroke of luck, but the culmination of years of work, failure, and perseverance. Bell's vision wasn't just about creating a new device. It was about revolutionizing the way human beings interacted. His invention would shape not just the future of communication, but the very structure of society. The telephone was about more than technology. It was about connection, about bringing people closer together. And this is where the journey began. With a single word spoken across a wire, creating a ripple that would eventually reach across the globe. This chapter sets the stage for the evolution of communication. It reflects on the spark that ignited a revolution, the creation of the telephone. But more than just an invention, it's a story about human connection, about overcoming limitations, and about the powerful force of innovation. You can feel the raw emotion of that first conversation, the thrill of possibility. With Bell's first successful transmission, the world changed, and the journey from this humble beginning to the interconnected world we know today was set in motion as the echoes of Bell's first successful experiment begin to fade. The world around you begins to transform. You're standing on the edge of something monumental. The world is about to change forever. It's 1876, and Alexander Graham Bell, full of determination and excitement, knows that this is just the beginning. The first words spoken through the telephone, "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you," still linger in the air. A symbolic bridge between two worlds, the old and the new. But the journey ahead will be anything but easy. In the quiet of Bell's laboratory, you can feel the pulse of his ambition, the thrill of discovery, tempered with the weight of uncertainty. The telephone, though groundbreaking, is far from perfect. The first call was a success, but Bell is already thinking ahead, imagining a world where people could talk to each other across vast distances without the need for letters or messengers. But there's so much more to be done. The technology is crude, the wires are fragile, and the connection is inconsistent. Yet, as Bell looks at the invention in front of him, a deep sense of purpose fills the room. He knows that this invention will become something far greater than he could ever have imagined. He's not just changing the way people communicate, he's changing the way people live. The idea of being able to talk to someone far away, to hear their voice across miles of wire, seems almost impossible. In Bell's time, communication was a slow and laborious process. People relied on telegrams or letters, which took days or even weeks to travel, especially if the message was going across continents. But the telephone, it promised instant communication, an idea so revolutionary that it would forever alter the very fabric of human connection. You can almost feel Bell's excitement as he envisions the future. Every wire that connects to people becomes a lifeline. Every phone call a bridge that shortens the distance between them. The possibilities are endless. What if Bell thinks, what if I could speak to someone in another city, in another country? What if this invention could connect people across the globe, across the entire world? His imagination races, and with it, the pulse of innovation that drives him. In these quiet moments of reflection, you realize that Bell's vision wasn't just about a telephone. It was about creating a new kind of world, one where barriers of space and time would no longer keep people apart. You can almost see the next step unfolding in Bell's mind. The telephone is more than just a novelty. It's a tool that will reshape society. The idea of instant communication between cities and countries is no longer a distant dream, but a tangible goal. As Bell prepares for his next experiment, you feel a surge of anticipation. There are no guarantees in this uncharted territory, but the hunger for connection drives him forward. Every challenge, every setback, only strengthens his resolve. Bell knows that he needs to test the device beyond his own laboratory. He dreams of connecting with people who are far away, who are out of reach. But how? the wires that carry the signal are fragile, and the technology is untested. It takes months of trial and error, hours spent adjusting the wires, refining the apparatus. Bell has moments of doubt. Will this actually work? Can it really be possible to carry the human voice across miles of wire without distortion? Will anyone believe that this is the future? But in the quiet of the workshop, amid the clutter of wires and experiments, he knows one thing. This invention is going to change the world, and he is going to be the one to do it. Then the breakthrough happens. Bell succeeds in his next step. He manages to connect to cities. For the first time in history, the telephone reaches beyond a single room. The sound of Bell's voice travels through the wire and into another place, a distant world that was once out of reach. The feeling of awe and excitement fills the air, like a spark that ignites an unstoppable fire. People are stunned. They listen in disbelief as Bell speaks through the telephone to a colleague miles away. The dream is now a reality. The world begins to shift. As the telephone's potential becomes clear, people begin to imagine a world where communication is no longer limited by geography. What would it be like to speak to a friend across the world without leaving your home? What would it be like to share ideas, business deals, even love without having to travel? You feel Bell's sense of wonder and pride, but also the weight of the responsibility that comes with such a powerful invention. The telephone is not just a tool. It is a bridge between worlds, a way to connect lives, to bring people closer together. The initial excitement begins to turn into something deeper, a realization that this invention has the potential to reshape the very way we live, think, and interact. It has opened the door to a new era. In this chapter, the idea of the telephone moves beyond an invention. It becomes a revolution in human connection. As you witness Bell's journey from a simple idea to the first successful long-distance call, you are reminded of the power of human imagination and determination. The telephone is not just a machine. It's a symbol of progress, a symbol of our unending quest to communicate, to understand, and to connect. The weight of the world begins to shift as Bell's invention takes its first steps out of the laboratory and into the hands of the public. As the initial experiments unfold, something shifts in the air. There is a palpable sense of excitement, of wonder, of disbelief. For the first time, humans can hear each other across great distances, bridging the gaps between cities, regions, and even continents. What was once an impossible dream is now unfolding before the world's eyes, and the possibilities seem endless. This is the dawn of a new era, one where distance is no longer a barrier to communication. Imagine standing in a room with a group of people, each of them holding their breath, eyes wide with anticipation. On the other end of the line, far away in another city, a voice is heard. For the first time, someone speaks, and the sound travels, reaching across the miles, as if they were standing right next to you. The connection is clear, despite the distance. Despite the technical imperfections, you hear the voice as though it's right there beside you, and with that, you realize that the world, in this small but profound moment, has changed. What was once a feat of science fiction is now real, tangible, and within reach. The next few months see the telephone make its way into the public consciousness. Telephone lines begin to stretch between cities, connecting businesses, families, and individuals in ways previously thought impossible. People marveled at the simplicity and practicality of the device, but they also felt a deeper, more profound shift. The telephone was not just an object, it was a new way of experiencing the world for the first time. You can have a conversation with someone far away without waiting days for a letter to arrive or enduring the inconvenience of travel. The telephone is immediate, real-time, and it feels as if the distance between two people has shrunk, reduced to mere wire and sound. This sudden shift allows business to prosper, personal connections to grow, and society as a whole to evolve in ways that were never before possible. However, it's not just the ordinary people who are feeling this seismic change. The implications of this invention are profound across all corners of society. Businessmen now see the possibility of conducting negotiations and deals without leaving their offices, saving valuable time and increasing profits. Politicians can communicate with one another, share ideas, and collaborate on national issues, regardless of the geographical challenges. Even in the medical field, the telephone is beginning to save lives. Doctors can now quickly contact one another, share important updates, and offer advice to those in need, regardless of where they are. But amid all the practicalities, you feel the true magic of this new invention. It's not just about convenience, it's about connection. The telephone becomes more than just a tool for commerce or politics. It becomes an instrument of human interaction, of shared voices, shared lives. The world begins to feel smaller. Families separated by great distances can now hear one another's voices, share laughter, and console each other during difficult times. You can sense the immense power in that, the comfort of knowing that distance no longer has to equate emotional separation. People begin to see the telephone not just as a device for communication, but as an extension of their very relationships. It's no longer just about connecting information, it's about connecting people. This subtle shift begins to take root in the hearts of those who use it, and the world that Bell envisioned starts to become a reality. There are still hurdles to overcome, of course. The technology is new, and as with any revolutionary change, there are skeptics and critics. Some believe that the telephone is just a passing fad, an unnecessary luxury. Others fear that it might cause more harm than good, disrupting the natural rhythms of life and communication. Yet, despite these voices of doubt, the telephone begins to spread like wildfire. You sense the winds of change blowing, gently but persistently, as telephone lines stretch further, as more and more cities connect. The vision of a fully interconnected world becomes closer and closer to reality. The telephone isn't just changing the way people speak, it's changing the way they think about communication, about connection, and about the very nature of human interaction. As the years stretch on, the telephone becomes an intrinsic part of daily life, slowly transforming the way people connect, not just in the present, but for generations to come. The initial excitement of Bell's invention was just the beginning, and as telephone lines snake their way across the country and beyond, they carry more than voices. They carry the pulse of a changing world, one that is drawing closer together, shrinking the vast distances that once seemed insurmountable. You can feel the thrill in the air as cities begin to link, And with each new connection, the world starts to feel more like a community, one where the boundaries of time and space are no longer barriers. You picture the moment when a call is made from New York to Chicago, when the first transatlantic phone call buzzes through the wires, and you understand the enormity of what's happening. It's as though the world itself is growing smaller, more interconnected, as people begin to speak with one another, not just across the street, but across countries, oceans, and continents. Asterisk, you imagine a farmer in the heart of the Midwest, picking up the receiver of his telephone and calling his brother in another state, thousands of miles away. The ability to communicate with loved ones in real time, no matter the distance, is nothing short of revolutionary. A sense of closeness emerges, not just between family members, but between people in different walks of life. With the advent of the telephone, you begin to witness a society that becomes more unified, where the very concept of isolation is slowly becoming an outdated notion. The telephone isn't just a tool for the privileged or the wealthy anymore. It's something that everyone can access, and this shift brings profound cultural change. No longer is communication restricted to the elite or the few who could afford it now. Families in rural areas, small businesses, and even local governments can use this new technology to stay connected. The democratization of communication brings with it a new sense of empowerment. People feel heard, connected, and seen in a way they never had before. The effects on society are already evident. People now hear from each other quickly and directly. And this change isn't just about convenience. It's about sharing ideas, breaking down barriers, and enabling collaboration. As you witness the ripple effects of this invention, you see how ideas begin to spread faster, how communities grow closer, and how the modern world begins to take shape. The telephone becomes a lifeline, not just for families and friends, but for businesses and governments. Entrepreneurs can now conduct deals in real time without traveling long distances, and politicians can share decisions immediately with leaders across the country or the globe. This interconnectedness opens the door to an entirely new economy, one where the flow of information is immediate and the world's markets become more closely intertwined. The pace of progress quickens and the opportunities seem endless. Communication is the currency of the modern world, and those who are connected are the ones who thrive. Yet, the telephone's impact reaches far beyond the business realm. It also starts to shape personal relationships in ways that were previously unimaginable. Couples separated by oceans can now hear each other's voices across the distance, and parents can talk to children living on different continents. The very nature of human connection changes. As much as the telephone is a tool for progress, it is also a tool for empathy. The more people connect, the more they understand that no matter how far apart they may be, they share a common humanity. You feel the transformation happening not just in the world, but in yourself as well. The telephone has made its way into your own life, becoming a tool that not only allows you to speak to those far away, but also reflects a new era of possibility. The future is wide open, and as you pick up the phone to call a friend, you realize that you are part of something far greater than just an individual connection. You are part of a global conversation, one that spans generations, cultures, and continents. The world is no longer the same. It feels as if a new chapter has opened, where the barriers of distance and time no longer carry the weight they once did. With every dial tone, with every connection, the telephone is erasing the boundaries that once confined communication. The sense of isolation that once existed between individuals, communities, and nations is starting to dissolve. The ability to speak to anyone, anywhere, is not just a luxury, it is a necessity, a vital tool that continues to shape our modern existence. You sit quietly, surrounded by the hum of technology that makes it all possible. The telephone, an invention that once seemed like an impossible dream, has now become as fundamental to daily life as the air we breathe. The familiar sound of a phone ringing, the jarring noise of the receiver being lifted, the warmth of the voice on the other end, it's a moment of connection, of understanding that has now become so commonplace that we forget its power. But as you reflect on the journey of the telephone, from its humble beginnings to the ubiquitous presence in modern life, you realize just how deeply it has altered the fabric of society. Consider the families who, once separated by oceans and continents, can now stay in touch with a simple phone call. Parents, children, and friends who once wrote letters that took days, sometimes weeks, to reach one another, can now speak instantly. Imagine the joy of hearing a loved one's voice, even if they are half a world away. The telephone, as simple as it may seem now, was a revolution in human connection. It gave people the ability to express emotions, share news, offer support, and celebrate milestones in real time, no matter the distance. With each call, the invisible walls between people crumble. You can almost feel the elation of those who first experienced this new form of communication, the sense of amazement, of possibility, to speak instantly, to hear someone's voice, to feel connected, even when physically distant, was nothing short of magic. And for a long time, it remained something extraordinary. For the first time in human history, the notion of being able to converse without being in the same room or city seemed like a dream realized. The telephone opened a door to a world where distance was no longer a barrier to human interaction. As the telephone becomes more widespread, you witness its transformative power across every sector of life. In business, it becomes an indispensable tool for real-time collaboration. Entrepreneurs and executives can now conduct meetings and close deals without leaving their offices. The convenience of being able to speak directly to clients, partners, and suppliers across the globe drives innovation, accelerates trade, and enhances productivity. Businesses can expand their reach and operate on a global scale in real time, something unimaginable before. But it's not just business that's transformed. The medical field experiences a quiet revolution as well. Doctors and specialists, once confined by geographical limitations, can now consult with one another, share knowledge, and provide immediate care. A diagnosis that once took days to confirm can now be discussed over a phone call, with life-saving treatments decided instantly. The telephone has become a tool not just for personal connection, but for progress in healthcare, where speed and accuracy are critical. The cultural shift brought about by the telephone is profound. It's no longer just a matter of practicality. It's about relationship building, cultural exchange, and the evolving nature of society. Communication between countries, once so fragmented, begins to grow, creating opportunities for diplomacy and international cooperation. Governments, businesses, and families find themselves less isolated, more connected to one another. The telephone plays an integral role in shaping modern civilization, laying the groundwork for globalization in the years to come. In this chapter, you begin to feel the weight of how far we've come. The telephone, once a breakthrough idea in a small lab, has become a global connector, bringing people together from all walks of life. It has revolutionized not just communication, but also the very structure of human society. As you reflect on the historical journey, you sense that this is not just the story of an invention. It is the story of human connection, of our relentless desire to reach out to one another, to share experiences, to solve problems, and to collaborate. But as the telephone becomes more entrenched in society, you also feel a deeper realization. This is only the beginning. The world may now be more connected than ever before, but there is still much more to be done. The foundation has been laid, but the possibilities ahead are limitless. With each advancement, each new generation of technology, we move closer to the future Bell could only dream of. A world where communication is seamless, instantaneous, and global. The telephone is just one step on a path that will eventually lead to the digital age, and beyond that, into the realm of real-time virtual connections that will continue to break down even more boundaries. As you reflect on this chapter, you understand that the telephone has done more than connect us across distances. It has fundamentally altered our concept of time, space, and human interaction. No longer do we think of the world as being divided by distance. The telephone has made it feel smaller, more accessible. It has brought people closer, made conversations faster, and turned the world into a place where everyone, no matter where they are, can reach out and speak. Through this invention, Bell's legacy continues to unfold, not just in the technology itself, but in the way it has shaped the human experience. The world will continue to evolve, but the ripple effects of the telephone, the desire for connection, the joy of communication, the drive to reach out, will always be with us, threading through the very fabric of our modern lives. The world, once divided by oceans, mountains, and vast distances, now seems bound together by invisible threads. These threads, the lines of wire stretching across countries, continents, and oceans, carry not just voices, but the heartbeat of an entire globe coming together. The telephone, a simple invention by Alexander Graham Bell, has begun to reshape the very essence of human existence. Where once people lived isolated in their regions, now they are connected in a shared global conversation. The telephone has sparked something profound in the way we relate to one another, making the world feel smaller, more interconnected. You feel the energy that ripples through the air as the telephone's reach extends, its influence moving faster and farther than anyone could have imagined. Cities once separated by time and distance are now linked instantaneously, and the ripple effect is visible everywhere. This invention, which started as a curious experiment, has blossomed into a tool that is changing the way people communicate, work, and live. Telecommunications companies are now emerging, eager to expand the telephone's reach. Each new line laid down is a victory in connecting humanity. People from every corner of the world are picking up the phone, making calls to loved ones, business partners, and government officials, establishing a new form of interaction that is as quick and as reliable as anything the world has ever seen. The telephone has become something people cannot imagine living without. It is no longer just a tool for business. It is the bridge that ties people together. As telephone networks spread across the globe, the old boundaries of communication, the days of waiting for letters, the long delays between messages are rapidly disappearing. You can feel how transformative it is, how it shifts the rhythms of everyday life. This transformation is not just happening in big cities, but in the smallest, most remote villages as well. It's no longer a luxury reserved for the rich and powerful. The telephone is available to all. In a world where distance once meant separation, the telephone has brought people closer, allowing them to stay in constant contact. You realize that with each phone call, humanity is being united in ways previously unimaginable. But even as the telephone transforms the way people communicate, you also sense that this is only the beginning. The true potential of this invention is still unfolding. Bell and his contemporaries could never have fully realized the far-reaching implications of what they had created. The telephone is no longer just a tool for conversation. It's a precursor to the information age, where people will not only speak to each other, but share ideas, knowledge, and innovation instantly, without the constraints of geography. Think of the implications. Businesses that once relied on face-to-face meetings, long-distance travel, and written correspondence can now operate at unprecedented speeds. A business deal that would have once taken weeks to finalize, involving telegrams and postal services, can now be completed within hours or even minutes, all due to the telephone's ability to instantly transmit voice across the globe. Innovation is thriving. Entrepreneurs no longer have to wait 4 months to communicate with international partners. They now have the world at their fingertips, but the telephone also carries with it an invisible weight. With this level of connectivity comes new responsibility. The world, which once felt vast and fragmented, now feels closer, yes, but also more fragile. The intricacies of human connection have expanded, and as more people speak to each other, the need for understanding, empathy, and mutual respect becomes more pressing. It is no longer just about speaking across a distance. It's about how we communicate, how we use this newfound closeness. The telephone, though it connects us physically, also reminds us of the emotional connection we must foster in an increasingly global society. You can feel how this moment in history is pivotal, a turning point in the way humanity will interact with one another in the future. Telecommunication has opened doors that were once thought permanently shut. It has given individuals and societies the opportunity to communicate in ways that are instant and personal. But it has also set the stage for a new set of challenges. How to navigate this newfound connectedness, how to balance global communication with personal connection, and how to ensure that technology continues to serve us without overwhelming us. The telephone, in its early stages, has already begun to shape the future in ways that no one could have anticipated. What began with a single voice reaching across a wire has grown into a global network, a lifeline that connects billions of people across continents. Every new development, every new innovation that builds on Bell's work has the power to continue to bridge the gaps between us, but it also brings new responsibilities to stay connected, to understand one another, and to continue to foster the relationships that keep us united in the face of an ever-changing world. as the telephone continues to spread across the globe. You feel the sense of wonder that accompanies such a monumental shift in how we live, communicate, and experience the world. It's not just about the convenience or efficiency of communication. The real transformation lies in how this simple device has reshaped the fabric of society itself. The telephone doesn't just connect voices, it connects lives, it deepens relationships, it makes the world feel smaller and more intertwined. You imagine a small town in the Midwest where the hum of the telephone on a quiet evening signals something profound. A farmer who once had to wait weeks to hear from his distant family now picks up the receiver and hears the familiar voice of his daughter who has moved to the city. A few short words, "How are you? I miss you," can bridge the gap that distance once created. In this moment, the world isn't vast, it's manageable, it's intimate, and it's connected. This shift has ripple effects far beyond just personal lives. Commerce flourishes with the new ease of real-time communication. Local businesses are now in direct touch with suppliers, customers, and partners across the country. The growth of the global economy, once slow and cumbersome due to the limitations of communication, is now accelerating. You sense how this immediate exchange of ideas, goods, and services is turning industries upside down. Businesses no longer have to wait for days or weeks for important shipments or messages. Transactions happen almost instantaneously, bringing efficiency and speed to the forefront of industry. The very nature of trade and economics changes as communication becomes more instantaneous. Entrepreneurs and innovators, once limited to local markets, now have access to global opportunities. A small shopkeeper can now advertise and sell products across the world, bridging gaps that once felt like insurmountable chasms. It's a new age of global commerce, all made possible by a device that, though humble, has unlocked the potential for unprecedented economic growth. Yet, the societal changes are not limited to business or family. The cultural exchange brought on by the telephone is profound. As people communicate across cultures, they begin to understand one another in new ways. The ideas that once took months to travel, arriving slowly by letter or messenger, now fly through the air in real time. You can feel how this instant sharing of thoughts, art, music, and culture begins to enrich the global community. The telephone is not just an instrument of business or personal connection. It is an agent of change, one that fosters understanding between different cultures and peoples. Asterisk, for the first time in history, people can listen to music from across the globe, hear news from other countries, and share ideas with others in ways that are no longer confined by time or space. Communication is becoming a two-way street, allowing for the free exchange of ideas, fostering innovation, and cultivating the kind of global community that would have been impossible before. Asterisk, in this chapter, the telephone doesn't just remain a tool, it evolves into a catalyst for transformation. With its widespread adoption, new ways of thinking and living emerge. The rapid globalization of communication brings people closer together, fostering empathy, understanding, and shared progress. The barriers between countries, once reinforced by slow communication, begin to crumble, creating a new world where instant connection becomes the foundation of every interaction. Asterisk, you realize the deep implications of this. the telephone becomes a bridge between human hearts, a medium through which empathy and shared experiences are exchanged freely. The human race has, for the first time, reached out across distances, not just to conduct business, but to truly understand one another. The conversations that once took weeks now unfold instantly, creating new connections, new bonds, and new possibilities for collaboration across nations and cultures. And as you sit in this quiet moment of reflection, the feeling of interconnectedness grows. What once seemed like an impossibly distant dream, a world where communication is no longer bound by distance, is now a reality. The world feels smaller, yet richer, as the telephone creates a tapestry of connections, weaving together the threads of humanity. You begin to see that this is only the beginning. This technological revolution has opened the door to new realms of possibility, and the telephone is just the first step in a journey that will continue to unfold, creating deeper connections and shaping a future that is more united than ever before. The telephone has done more than just connect individuals. It has laid the groundwork for a new era of communication. The world is shifting, moving away from the limitations of physical distance and embracing a new age where human connection is instant, continuous, and virtually unlimited. As you sit with this realization, you begin to understand that the telephone has done more than change how people speak to one another. It has redefined the very nature of society itself. What once seemed like a distant dream is now an undeniable reality. People who were once separated by continents can now hear each other's voices as clearly as if they were in the same room. The possibilities are limitless, and the telephone is just the beginning of this transformative wave. The foundation is now set for the digital age, where information and communication will continue to evolve, expand, and redefine what it means to be connected in this new world. The telephone remains a cornerstone, but you can already sense the next wave of innovation on the horizon. The lines are beginning to blur. Television, radio, and computer networks, all of these technologies are starting to come together, each building on the other, creating a more immersive and interactive experience for people across the globe. The internet, still a distant thought, will soon emerge as the next great revolution, carrying communication into realms that Bell could never have imagined. But for now, the telephone continues to be the most essential tool in the human toolkit. It remains the bridge between individuals, between families, between governments, and between cultures. In the early days of the telephone, it was just a way to carry a voice across a wire. Today, it is the key to interconnectivity, making it possible for us to reach out and communicate with anyone, anywhere, anytime. The implications of this are profound. As you reflect on the advent of this new communication age, you begin to see that the telephone has not only connected us, but has fostered a shared experience across diverse communities. In a world once divided by borders, language, and isolation, the telephone has become a common thread, weaving humanity together in ways never before possible. The telephone represents more than just a technological advancement. It is a symbol of unity, of the desire to break down the walls that separate us and reach across the divide. This shift in human interaction opens up new possibilities for collaboration, for collective progress, and for creating a world where shared knowledge can be passed around the globe in an instant. The telephone has made real-time communication possible, but soon, instant access to knowledge and interconnectedness will become just as common. What began with a simple voice across a wire will soon lead to more sophisticated forms of global connection, from video calls to virtual worlds and beyond. As you sit and think about this, you realize that the world is on the brink of something far greater than anyone could have predicted. Bell's invention, which began as a simple tool for two people to speak across a wire, has paved the way for an entire communication revolution. The telephone itself, as it evolves into a mobile device and as it becomes more integrated with the digital world, will be a central part of this transformation. You feel the weight of this new reality, where every person has the power to connect with another, no matter where they are or what time it is. The telephone, in all its forms, will continue to bridge gaps, empower people, and create a global village where the flow of information, of conversation, and of understanding is uninterrupted. The future is open, and the paths ahead are filled with limitless possibilities for connection. The world is changing yet again. You feel the pulse of progress quicken as the telephone, once a device that connected only the voice, begins its metamorphosis into something much greater. The once humble invention of Alexander Graham Bell has grown far beyond his wildest dreams. With every innovation, the telephone is evolving from a wired tool into a digital gateway, opening doors to new possibilities. The lines of copper and wire have given way to the invisible waves that now carry data, images, and voices all across the globe. Imagine this, a world where the phone, which started as a means for just two people to speak to each other, is now a window to virtually anything. You no longer have to be in the same room to share a moment, see a face, or experience life together. With the advent of mobile phones, the telephone has become portable, untethered from the confines of the home or office. It's a device you can carry in your pocket, but it holds the power to connect you to an entire universe of information, of communication, of connection. Asterisk, the evolution from landlines to mobile phones marks a shift in how we connect. Mobile technology doesn't just replicate the function of the telephone, it expands it. The smartphone has become a hub of information, entertainment, and social interaction. It's not just a way to talk to someone anymore. It's how we communicate in the digital world through text messages, social media, video calls, and instant sharing. You can now communicate with anyone, anywhere, at any time, and with a tap of a finger, access almost everything in the world. The power of communication has transcended physical limitations. You can almost feel the weight of this transformation as the global landscape changes and the internet becomes as important as the telephone itself. The smartphone merges communication with information. In an instant, you can call a friend on the other side of the world, shop for groceries, order a taxi, check your bank account, or discover a new culture, all with a device that fits in the palm of your hand. The world has never been more connected. The internet links everyone together in an invisible yet incredibly real web of data that moves faster than ever before. Your phone, once a device for voice, is now a tool for life. As you sit quietly in this moment, reflecting on the impact of the smartphone, you realize that it is not just a device, it is a portal. The way we interact with each other, with businesses, with the world around us, has been forever changed. communication is no longer limited to words spoken through a wire or displayed on a screen. It is now integrated into every aspect of our lives. Whether you are sending a quick message to a friend, catching up on the news, or participating in a global conversation online, the lines between personal and public, between local and global, have blurred. But the transition from the telephone to the smartphone is more than just technological. It is also cultural. Social norms, once defined by face-to-face communication or written correspondence, are now shaped by the immediacy of digital communication. The way we express ourselves has evolved. Texting has replaced much of the traditional phone call, and social media platforms have become spaces for both connection and expression. No longer are we just speaking. We are sharing our lives with others in real time through photos, videos, and posts. This digital age of connection has fundamentally shifted how we build and maintain relationships. Yet, with this new age of connectivity, new challenges arise. As the telephone became a tool for increasing global communication, it also brought with it new ways for information to be misused, distorted, and misinterpreted. The speed and scale at which communication now occurs can sometimes feel overwhelming. You can feel the pressure mounting as the need for constant connectivity takes a toll on mental well-being. There's no turning off. There's no escape from the constant flow of information. But this is not an insurmountable obstacle. In this new age, the telephone has evolved once again from a simple tool for connection to a complex device that allows us to navigate the modern world. With this new digital revolution comes the power to connect more deeply than ever, to engage with more people, and to be part of a global dialogue that spans cultures, communities, and continents. As you reflect on the journey of the telephone, you sense that we have only just begun to scratch the surface of what is possible. The world that was once divided by oceans, mountains, and vast distances has transformed, shrinking before our eyes into an interconnected web. The telephone, that humble invention, was the first step, but it was only the beginning. As the world continues to evolve, technology presses onward, and communication technology follows suit, advancing into realms that Alexander Graham Bell could never have imagined. The smartphone, though a revolutionary advancement, is merely the stepping stone toward something far greater. Imagine a world where communication is unrestricted by space, where conversations take place not just across distances, but across dimensions. As 5G technology begins to roll out across the globe, you realize that this is not just an incremental upgrade. This is the doorway to a whole new era of connection. The speed at which data can be transferred, the clarity of video calls, the instant interaction between devices. Everything about 5G is about breaking the barriers of latency and connectivity, creating a seamless flow of communication in a way that feels almost instantaneous. You can feel the anticipation building, as if the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for this next wave to wash over us. The telephone, once a simple device designed for voice communication, is now at the heart of a digital ecosystem that spans far beyond what anyone could have anticipated. We are entering the age where augmented reality, AR, and virtual reality, VR, are not far off, where your smartphone will not just be a device to call or text someone, but a tool to interact with digital worlds. Imagine stepping into a virtual room speaking to someone on the other side of the globe, and experiencing not just their voice, but seeing their facial expressions, sharing moments as if you were in the same room. AR and VR are bringing us closer than ever to a world where distance doesn't exist in the traditional sense. The barriers between reality and virtual space blur, creating a new dimension for communication, where physical location no longer dictates human interaction. The implications of these advancements go far beyond just convenience. As 5G networks begin to roll out globally, the ability to connect becomes limitless. People in remote villages will be able to access the same information, participate in the same conversations, and share the same experiences as those living in the heart of bustling cities. The world will truly feel smaller, more accessible. Information will flow freely across borders, creating a more inclusive and interconnected world. In this chapter, you feel the excitement and promise of what's to come. The global information age is just beginning to reach its full potential. And as the Internet of Things, IoT, continues to expand, it is clear that the telephone is no longer just a tool for conversation. It is at the heart of a network that is reshaping how we live and how we relate to each other. Imagine a world where your phone doesn't just call you, but anticipates your needs. Smart homes, powered by voice assistants, are already becoming commonplace. You could speak to your house, asking it to adjust the temperature or turn on the lights. In the near future, your phone will become an extension of your thoughts, responding to your needs before you even ask. Imagine a world where every device in your home is connected, where your smartphone is the control center for a network of intelligent systems that make your life more efficient, convenient, and SIVE. In this near future, you'll experience life not just through text messages and phone calls, but through dynamic, immersive interactions. Instead of simply reading news or hearing music, you'll experience it. The screen won't just show information, it will place you inside the story, allowing you to feel as though you are a part of the world you are interacting with. The devices we once thought of as separate are now converging into one, creating an experience that is multidimensional and interactive in ways that we have only begun to explore. But these innovations also bring challenges. As technology continues to advance, we must confront new questions about privacy, data security, and the growing divide between those with access to technology and those without. The rise of artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning will redefine our relationship with communication, and the world will need to adapt to these changes. Will we be able to maintain the human connection in an increasingly digital world? Can we ensure that this new world of instant access and connectivity will bring us closer, or will it create a distance of its own? One that exists not between continents, but between ourselves. As this chapter draws to a close, you reflect on how far we've come, but also on how much farther we have to go. The telephone, though still evolving, has already reshaped the way we connect with each other, but we are only beginning to explore its full potential. The next phase of this evolution will blur the lines between communication and experience, creating opportunities for connection that go beyond voice, beyond text, and beyond the physical world. In this new era, the telephone, once a groundbreaking invention, will continue to be at the center of a global digital transformation, pushing the boundaries of what is possible and leading humanity into a future where connection is seamless, instant, and infinite. As you stand at the precipice of this ever-evolving world, the possibilities seem endless. The telephone, once the symbol of a revolutionary breakthrough, has laid the foundation for a future where communication is no longer confined to simple words or wires. 5G, AI, virtual reality, and augmented reality are not just dreams of science fiction. They are already here, slowly shaping the next stage of human connection. As you immerse yourself in these thoughts, you begin to feel the weight of the future pulling you toward a world where distances are erased, and the only limits are the bounds of human imagination. The world that Alexander Graham Bell once dreamed of has arrived, but it is a far cry from what he could have ever envisioned. The telephone, now integrated into every aspect of our lives, transformed into an ultra-powerful smartphone, has become the center of everything. It is our calendar, our camera, our entertainment hub, and most importantly, it is our link to each other, both near and far. But what does the future hold for communication? As 5G technology spreads across the globe, you begin to sense a shift not only in how we connect, but in how we experience the world. The world will not simply be a place we live in and communicate with. Instead, it will become an immersive experience where the lines between the physical and digital worlds begin to blur. With AR and VR, you will no longer just see or hear someone on the other side of the globe. You will feel their presence, see their surroundings, and engage in a shared experience, as if no distance exists at all. Imagine a conversation with a friend thousands of miles away through your augmented reality glasses or virtual reality headset. Their image appears before you, standing as if they were right there in the room with you. The digital and physical worlds merge seamlessly, allowing you to interact in ways that feel just as real as any face-to-face interaction. The barriers of space and time are completely shattered. You can touch, laugh, and speak just as you would in the same room, no longer constrained by the limitations of the past. As the Internet of Things (IoT) continues to grow, smart devices become an integral part of everyday life. Smart homes, where your devices can communicate with each other, will anticipate your needs. Your phone, no longer just a tool for making calls, will be at the center of a vast network of devices that can control everything from your home's temperature to the lighting, the security systems, and even the medications you need to take. In this new world, the telephone has evolved from a simple tool of communication to the control center of modern living. But the most profound change of all lies in how we connect emotionally. With the increasing reliance on virtual communication, the question arises: how do we maintain the deep human connection that has been the core of our relationships for centuries? Social media, once hailed as a great equalizer, has begun to show cracks in its ability to foster genuine connection. The digital world, while rich with possibilities, can feel hollow at times, distant, and impersonal. The challenge of the future will be to ensure that, even as we connect more deeply with technology, we don't lose the essence of what it means to be human, the empathy, the emotional depth, the understanding that can only come from personal interaction. The next frontier of communication is one where emotion and understanding are prioritized. As artificial intelligence develops, machines will learn not just how to communicate, but how to empathize. Imagine talking to an AI assistant and feeling that it truly understands your emotions, your needs, your struggles. AI could begin to tailor responses to your emotional state, creating a more empathetic, supportive interaction. Whether you're speaking to a customer service representative or receiving medical advice, there is also the growing potential of telepathic communication. Brain-machine interfaces are already being tested to allow humans to communicate using thought alone. While still in the early stages, this technology could eventually bypass physical devices altogether, creating a direct connection between minds. Telepathy, once a fantastical concept, may one day become part of the way we interact with one another, making communication not just immediate, but intuitive, and perhaps even more profound. As you look to the future, you realize the profound implications these changes will have on society. Communication will not be just a tool, but a means of experiencing life, not through words alone, but through shared moments, shared realities, and shared emotions. The telephone and its descendants will continue to evolve, reshaping society, culture, and humanity. What was once a simple voice across a wire has become something much greater, the gateway to a future of limitless connection. This chapter explores the breathtaking possibilities of the future of communication. 5G, AI, AR, VR, and brain machine interfaces promise a world where connection is instantaneous, where distance becomes irrelevant, and where we can experience life as one interconnected entity. As technology advances, we move closer to a world where communication is not just about speaking, it's about experiencing and sharing the human connection in ways that will reshape our understanding of reality. And at the heart of it all, the legacy of the telephone will remain, a reminder of how far we've come and a beacon guiding us toward a future filled with endless potential as the world continues to evolve. The legacy of Alexander Graham Bell's creation, the telephone, persists, rippling through time. With every new technological leap, whether through the internet, smartphones, or artificial intelligence, the foundational idea that began with the telephone continues to guide and shape the ways in which humans connect with each other. The telephone itself is no longer a singular device, but a gateway to a broader, more interconnected existence, one that touches every aspect of modern life. You sit in quiet reflection as the story unfolds, realizing that the telephone has paved the way for countless innovations, each building upon the vision of its inventor. It is no longer just a tool for conversation. The telephone, in its many forms, has transformed into an extension of human experience, seamlessly integrating with the digital world. Mobile phones, now miniature computers, provide instant access to everything, from global news to personal messages, shaping how we interact with the world around us. The smartphone is the culmination of Bell's invention, yet it is more than a mere communication device. It has become the centerpiece of a new digital age. The smartphone is not just a means of speaking to others. It is a window into infinite knowledge. It allows you to interact with friends, family, businesses, and ideas all at once. The world now lives in your pocket, from social media to online banking, from news to entertainment, all at your fingertips. The phone, once used solely for conversation, is now the central hub for everything. And as you sit and reflect on how far technology has come, you understand that the story of the telephone is far from over. In fact, it has only just begun. The Internet of Things, IoT, which once seemed like a futuristic concept, has rapidly entered the mainstream, with every device in your home, your car, and your workplace becoming connected. The world is moving toward a future where everything is linked, from thermostats that adjust to your preferences, to smart refrigerators that know when you're out of milk, to voice-activated assistants that make your life easier and more connected. This constant stream of data, made possible by the telephone's evolution into digital devices, has begun to shape how people live, work, and interact. With the proliferation of 5G technology, a new horizon appears, one where data transmission becomes instantaneous. No longer are we bound by the limitations of slower networks or static connections. Instead, with 5G, communication reaches new speeds, allowing not only for faster calls and video chats, but also for more immersive, real-time interactions. This is the future of virtual meetings, where distance is no longer a consideration, and real-time collaboration will be seamless across any geography. The world is becoming one large virtual community, where the barriers that once stood between people are vanishing. Asterisk in this new world. Augmented reality, AR, and virtual reality, VR, will soon be integrated into our daily lives, reshaping how we communicate and interact with one another. Imagine calling someone on the phone, but instead of just hearing their voice, you see them standing before you as if they were in the same room. With AR and VR, the lines between digital and physical realities blur, offering new ways to connect with people, share experiences, and participate in a global conversation that transcends geographical and physical limitations. But with this advancement, there is a subtle sense of unease. As we move toward a future of constant connectivity, the question arises: what happens when communication becomes effortless? When technology is so deeply embedded in our lives that we no longer think about it? Will we lose our ability to connect with each other in meaningful ways? Will we be so immersed in the digital realm that the human connection becomes lost in the noise of instant messaging and virtual experiences? In this world where communication is instant, constant, and boundless, the challenge lies in ensuring that we do not lose touch with what is truly important. It's not just about how we communicate. It's about the quality and depth of our connections. The telephone, in all its iterations, has brought us closer together. But the responsibility now lies with us to ensure that these connections continue to serve our human needs, that they do not replace meaningful interactions with superficial exchanges. This chapter ends with a sense of quiet contemplation. The telephone has traveled far from its origins as a simple device for connecting voices. It has now become the central tool in an interconnected world where distance no longer matters. But as the telephone evolves into more sophisticated devices, more complex networks, and a more integrated digital world, we are called to remember the essence of what it was always meant to do: bring people together. The challenge of the future will be to preserve the human spirit of connection in a world that is increasingly mediated by technology. And in that, the legacy of the telephone, the desire to bridge distances and connect hearts, will live. On dot, as the story draws to a close, you see that the evolution of communication is far from finished. The telephone's legacy continues to unfold, and the future promises even more exciting innovations. From 5G to AI, from virtual meetings to digital assistants, the journey of connection is still expanding, taking humanity further into a world where the barriers between us continue to disappear. The telephone has opened the door to new possibilities, and it is only just beginning to show us what lies ahead as the world continues to evolve. The lines between physical reality and digital presence continue to blur. The telephone, which once seemed like an impossible dream, has become the cornerstone of a global communication system that is now evolving into something even more profound. With each passing day, new technologies are pushing the boundaries of what we know about human connection. The digital age is upon us, and its foundation was built on the simple idea that connection can transcend distance, space, and time. You find yourself thinking about what the future holds as we move deeper into the digital age. Communication no longer feels like a mere tool. It is becoming an experience. The next step will not only involve faster connectivity or instantaneous communication, but will redefine how we interact with one another on a more intimate level. Imagine not just talking to someone on the other side of the world, but experiencing that person's presence, sharing moments as if you were standing side by side. The emerging technologies of augmented reality AR and virtual reality VR promise to create worlds where communication isn't just a matter of sending signals through wires or waves. As the digital realm integrates seamlessly with the physical world, the idea of presence will evolve. You could enter a virtual room, sit across the table from a friend who is thousands of miles away, and share a conversation just as if you were in the same place. The barrier between the physical and digital worlds will disappear, leaving only human connection at its core. Imagine a world where teleportation of experience is possible, not physical objects, but moments themselves. As technology advances, holographic communication might become the next frontier. You could attend a concert in another city or meet with colleagues for a brainstorming session, all without leaving your home. The sense of presence will be as tangible as the world around you, and your ability to connect with others will go beyond just a voice or a video. Instead, you will be able to live in the experience, feeling the shared space, emotions, and gestures in a way that was once confined to the realm of science fiction. Asterisk, but as you consider this future, you are reminded that with these advancements come new questions. How will our relationship with privacy evolve in a world where digital footprints are left behind with every interaction? The boundaries between the physical and the virtual will not just challenge our sense of identity, but may also redefine what it means to be human. As more of our lives become digitized, we will be forced to consider new ways to protect our personal space, our emotions, and our digital selves. AI and machine learning will have the ability to understand our behavior, predict our needs, and perhaps even mirror our emotions. But where do we draw the line between genuine human connection and artificial interaction? The story of the telephone, which began with a simple voice over a wire, has now woven its way into every aspect of modern life. Yet this is only the beginning. As we continue to innovate, new technologies will give us access to new forms of connection, faster, richer, more immersive experiences that will once again change the way we communicate, collaborate, and relate to one another. The future is one of digital harmony, where the potential for shared human experiences is endless. But even as we embrace these new realities, the challenge will be to keep the heart of communication intact. Will we be able to preserve the authenticity of human interaction, even as technology allows us to create experiences that are almost indistinguishable from real life? The true power of communication lies in its ability to foster understanding, to create meaningful bonds, and to allow us to share our experiences with one another. As we move forward, we must ensure that technology remains a tool, not a replacement, for the human connection that has always been at the heart of communication. As you reflect on the story of the telephone and its incredible evolution, you realize that the journey is far from over. Communication will continue to evolve, with each new technology building on the last. The telephone has already transformed the way we connect with each other, but the future holds even more incredible innovations. It will take us to places we've never been before, allowing us to see, hear, and feel each other's presence in ways that were once impossible. The bridge that Bell created so many years ago has become an infinite pathway, and we are only beginning to walk its length. As you step back from the rapid changes unfolding, a sense of awe washes over you. The telephone, which began as a device for a single, fleeting moment of connection between two voices, has blossomed into something far greater. You realize that the journey of communication has only just begun. The advances we have made, from the simple telephone to the modern smartphone, from 5G technology to the Internet of Things (IoT), have fundamentally altered the way we connect with one another. But as you look forward, you sense that these advances are only the tip of the iceberg. The true evolution is still unfolding before us. The future of communication is a vast, undiscovered territory, one where the boundaries of time, space, and technology continue to blur. What was once impossible is now achievable, and what seems distant today will soon be part of our everyday experience. The telephone, that original bridge between humans, has become a portal to an entirely new world, a world where we can connect, not just with voices, but with experiences, thoughts, and emotions. Imagine a future where communication transcends the physical act of speaking, where thoughts themselves can be transmitted directly from mind to mind. Brain-machine interfaces are already in their infancy, and while they seem like science fiction, they are quickly evolving into a reality. In this world, your thoughts will no longer be bound by words or wires. You could share your deepest feelings, ideas, and dreams with others without the limitations of language or distance. The conversation will no longer be limited to sound waves, but will become a direct connection of consciousness. This new form of communication will open the door to an unprecedented level of understanding between people. As we continue to develop these neural networks that link our minds, we will be able to communicate with one another in a way that is more profound, more immediate, and more intimate than ever before. Imagine a world where you don't just speak to someone, you feel what they feel, understand what they understand, and experience the world as they experience it. The language of empathy, once a distant ideal, will become a tangible reality. At the same time, the digital landscape continues to evolve, growing even more interconnected. What was once a static internet filled with pages of text and images has transformed into a dynamic, interactive, and immersive environment. Virtual and augmented reality will continue to expand, allowing us to not just see the world, but experience it fully. We will step into digital environments where our interactions with others feel as real as if they were standing right in front of us. Virtual spaces will allow us to connect with anyone, anywhere, at any time, with all the richness and depth of face-to-face communication. But this new era of connection will bring with it a new set of challenges. With the ability to share and connect instantaneously comes the responsibility of maintaining authenticity. As we push the boundaries of digital connection, it will be essential to keep in mind the human element, the heart of all communication. Empathy, understanding, and genuine human connection will remain at the core of everything. Even as technology opens new frontiers, the future of communication will not be about simply being more connected. It will be about being truly connected in ways that go beyond surface-level interaction. As you reflect on the profound shifts taking place, it becomes clear that the telephone's legacy will endure. It was never just about the device. It was about what the device allowed us to do: communicate, share, understand. And as the telephone continues to evolve, so too does the way we connect with each other. The world that once felt fragmented is now unified, and the story of how we communicate is still being written in this chapter. The legacy of Bell's invention is not just celebrated, it is extended. The telephone, now the smartphone, has laid the groundwork for digital communication and global connection. But as we move into the future, we know that this journey is far from over. The ultimate goal is not just to talk across distances, but to share the human experience on a level deeper than ever before, whether through 5G, artificial intelligence, or neural connections. The telephone has opened the door to a world where communication is not just an act, but an experience that transcends the limitations of time, space, and technology. As the story comes to a close, you realize that the end of one chapter is simply the beginning of the next. Communication from the first voice spoken through Bell's telephone to the futuristic digital interactions we will experience will continue to evolve, to deepen, and to enrich human lives. The journey that started with a single word over a wire is far from over. The possibilities are limitless, and the connections we are yet to make will change the world in ways we can't yet fully imagine. In the end, the telephone wasn't just a tool for communication. It was the starting point for a new way of thinking about how we connect. And as the future unfolds, the legacy of the telephone will continue to guide us toward a world of deeper understanding, richer human connection, and boundless possibility.